Welcome to Cricket World TV, the latest hotspot with me, John Pennington, and Matt Carter. We're going to be talking county cricket. Hello, Matt.
Hi, you alright?
Very well, very well. Coming up then in this hotspot, we're going to look back at LV County Championship. It looks like we're down to 4 teams for the title. Now, Division 2 is getting interesting as well, and we're going to review the T20 Blast before asking a bit of a question about England's potential future spin options as well. Matt, let's start off then with the title race, if you like. We think we're down to 4 teams now.
Yeah, we think we can probably say definitely we're down to 4. I mean, you never know in this season. It seems to change every 5 minutes what's actually going to happen. But I think now it's going to be one of 4. I think Nottinghamshire, Yorkshire, Somerset, and Warwickshire. Notts had a massive win this week, but possibly maybe the seminal win of the season. They got home by a wicket against Lancashire in a topsy-turvy game at Liverpool, which has real permutations for Lancashire at the other end of the table as well. And I think if they do go on to win the title, they'll probably look back at that victory in the innings Chris Reed played to get them over the line to get 40 there. Somerset, well, they've been talking about these 2 games they'd got against Northamptonshire ever since really we were talking about their title credentials, and they played the first of those this week, and suddenly it was a lot tougher than they actually anticipated it might have been. I mean, the nerves were very much frayed there. The Northampton were set 400 odd, and they fell only short by 50 runs in the end. And they dominated for 3 days, Somerset, and it all suddenly just got very tetchy towards the end. And they have another game against Northampton to come, but you just look at Somerset, and their batsmen perhaps aren't scoring enough runs apart from Trescotty. You look at the batsmen they've got, and nobody else is really averaging in the high 40s apart from Trescotty, and of course they've had that horrible injury to Craig Kieswetter which hits them. But the real dark horse is coming on the outside, particularly unnoticed, to Warwickshire, who meandered through the season pretty mediocrely. They've really threatened. I mean, 3 games ago they got mauled by Yorkshire, and you thought that was them done and dusted, but they squoze home against Notts last week, a game they're on the back foot for most of, and then this week they absolutely trounced Durham, and they're suddenly looking good. They've got players coming into form. Jonathan Trott starting to regain his touch. They've got young Sam Hayne, who is really causing a stir down there, only 18 years of age. He's already scored 2 first-class hundreds, and their bowling attack is very good. And perhaps the X factor they have is they're the only side with a wicket-taking spinner in Jitan Patel. So it's looking very interesting. You wouldn't like to call it at this stage, but it's going to be a thrilling finale, I would assume.
It is, and perhaps we wouldn't want to call it at this stage because the championship goes into a little bit of a break now as sort of one day in 2020 cricket takes centre stage. What about Division 2? Are Worcestershire or Hampshire threatening to slip up? You've got Surrey and Essex playing quite well at the moment, but has it come too late?
Yeah, I mean, Hampshire are looking really testy now. I mean, I think I looked at the table from about 3 weeks ago, and they had a 78-point lead on Surrey. Yes, they played a game more, but that lead is now down to 5 points, and suddenly it's all starting to fall apart a little bit for Hampshire. I mean, before we thought their batting was formidable, but that was perhaps masked by the fact that James Vince was in pretty much unbelievable touch. Then now he's not inevitably he's not going to carry that sort of form through the whole season, and the other guys aren't really doing a lot. James Adams and Michael Carberry, and the bowling as well now. They've lost Kyle Abbott and they're lacking a spot there, and it's not just the championship either. In the 2020 they've started to tail away, and there are worries for Hampshire, and Essex, who beat them this week, suddenly they've appeared on the landscape as well. I mean, a couple of games ago they were absolutely annihilated by Hampshire, and you thought the gulf in class between the two sides was absolutely massive, but suddenly Essex have managed to string 2 wins together out of 3. They hadn't won in 8 before that. And they might have a little bit of a glimmer. Worcestershire, you think, are gone. I mean, if you were to have anticipated one of the 2 to fall away, most people would have presumed Worcestershire. But Syed Ajmal had another excellent game against Leicester. So that was his last game, and they've got a pretty handy platform this week. And they also play Gloucestershire this week, so they could have a huge lead going into the break. And they are without Ajmal, but I think it's worth mentioning with Worcestershire that they're not a one-man team. Yes, Ajmal has been exceptional, and he has been the difference. But if you take a lot of the team's best players out, then they probably wouldn't be in the positions they are. And their young players have been exceptional as well. So you have to say well done to them for probably, at the minute, the performance of the season, I'd say.
That's a good call. I'm with you there. And a quick word on your local side, Derbyshire. Even they won this week.
Yeah, even we got a win this week. Yeah, I wonder what's going on when that happens.
Week.
Yeah, it's been a long season for us, but things just maybe there's a little bit of a glimmer of things starting to click under Graham Welch. I mean, you don't want to presume anything in a Division 2 that is unbelievably inconsistent, but Welch will hope his methods are starting to take effect, and they're starting to show a bit more of a settled 11. And a word for Mark Foote, who after Ajmal is the division's leading wicket taker, so he's doing really well at the moment.
Great stuff. Yes, as we say, we go into sort of 2020 one-day mode now before the championship returns later in the year. Let's just have an update on the T20 Blast, Matt. Last week we spoke about maybe it was really the final sort of qualification spot, a few teams in contention, but not everything's been decided just yet, has it?
Not just yet. It's getting into a little bit of squeaky bum time now. Gloucestershire have just lost to Surrey, so they're about gone in the South Division. I think it's looking like in the South you're going to have Essex and Surrey going through. So Hampshire is suddenly starting to even teeter in this tournament. I think they've got 2 left. They probably need to win one of them, and it's probably going to be between them and Somerset and Glamorgan for the last 2. In the North, it's looking like Yorkshire, Notts, and Lancashire, and then it's probably a battle between 3. Northampton actually play Worcestershire tonight. If Worcestershire win that, you would imagine it's probably going to be Worcestershire who make it. But Northampton have just been clinging on to the trophy they won a year ago, so don't rule them out just yet. And Birmingham are also playing Yorkshire tonight, which is a must-win game for them. But it's certainly getting very exciting now, and it is pretty much the business end of the tournament. And any faults now, and you're probably going to be gone.
Yes, I've seen a few press releases from teams saying basically, I think Durham was one of them, I think Northampton might have been another, where they said, right, we've got to win every game from now on to have a chance of going through. So that's just how close it is. So looking ahead to this week, we've got plenty of cricket going on in county cricket. Which games have you sort of picked out with the ones that you would most like to attend?
Yeah, so we've only got 5 championship games left now until the month break, and it's a golden opportunity for both Yorkshire and Warwickshire to go into the break on top of the pile. I mean, it would be a phenomenal achievement if Warwickshire were to do that. If they're in action at Sussex, who themselves are in need of a win, just to give themselves a bit of a cushion on the relegation battle going into the break. And Yorkshire are up against, let me just have a look. Yorkshire playing Middlesex, who haven't actually won in 5 games, so you'd fancy them to perhaps win that one at Headingley and overtake Nottinghamshire at the top of the pile for the 4th week running. I think those two would have swapped places at the top if that happens. And of course, there's that game between Worcestershire and Gloucestershire that we earlier mentioned. If Worcestershire can get a result there, then I would presume they will be virtually there in Division 1 for next year.
Great stuff. Plenty of great stuff going on. Our sort of hot topic, if you like, for this week's hotspot is sort of spinners. It's been a constant debate, really, with England. They're not picking a specialist spinner so far this summer. What have you seen around the county game? Are there any up-and-coming spinners that we should be keeping an eye on?
I mean, to be honest, in the county game, it's a little bit worrying what we're seeing there as well. I mean, the majority of pitches are very unconductive to spin. I mean, you say England aren't picking a front-line spinner. There's a fair portion of county sides who aren't as well. I mean, Nottinghamshire are relying on Samit Patel. Sussex are without a spinner. Durham have got Scott Borthwick, but he's not an out-and-out spinner. I mean, as we said about Warwickshire, you look at of the Division 1 leading 20 wicket takers, I think there's only Patel who is a spinner in there. I mean, Division 2 is a little bit better. Adam Riley showed signs of developing into becoming a decent spinner for Kent, but it is worrying, and I think there's a lot of teams using spinners just for one-day bowling. Look at Will Beer has been bowling excellently for Sussex in the T20, but he can't get a look in the 4-day. Max Waller bowled very well the other night for Somerset, and even players like Danny Briggs, who, to be fair to Briggs, he has had a little bit of a better season in the 4-day stuff. And there was actually an interesting point made about the pitch at Colchester this week, which turned into actually a bit of a spinning Bunsen, and it got rave reviews, that pitch. I think Ravi Bapara was bigging up that surface. I don't know whether that's because he scored a match-winning 40-on into one, but it could be a tactic that, I mean, if you want to use the outgrounds to develop spinning pitches, because at the minute it is incredibly tough for spinners to come through, and it's very rare that captains, I mean, if your spinner gets a wicket as well, captains are tending to take the spinner off straight away and turn to the front-line seamers. So unfortunately, the cupboard is pretty bare at the moment, and it looks like it could be a long road for England to find the replacement for Graham Swan.
Yeah, it's a many sort of faceted answer, really. There's so many different strands. There's pitches, there's the games they're playing. It's, as you quite rightly pointed out there, it's the the attitude almost of captains, we've got a wicket, so we'll take the spinner off. It's almost counterproductive. So we'll wait and see, of course, to see if the likes of Riley do actually produce the goods, and sort of is he the answer? A little bit early, perhaps, to be saying it almost. So we'll sort of keep an eye on that one as the months progress. Really. Anything else on spin or anything else you want to sort of bring in, Matt, before we hang this one up?
No, I think that's about everything. I think we can let everyone go and enjoy the sunshine.
Well, absolutely. It's a gloriously hot day here. It's been a gloriously hot day at Lord's as well, where England have been plugging away against India. So enjoy the cricket over the weekend, Matt. Thank you very much for your time once again.
No, thank you very much as always.
And thank you very much for watching our hotspot here on Cricket World.